What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Worldwide Guide. Greece is a country with thousands of years of history, a coastline that stretches across hundreds of islands, and a culture that's genuinely unlike anywhere else in Europe. With so many ancient sites and islands to choose from, I'm going to make it a little easier for you, and I'm going to cover the 10 best places to visit in Greece. We're starting with Santorini, probably the most recognizable destination in all of Greece. The island sits in the southern Aegean Sea and is accessible by a short flight from most major European cities, or a ferry from Athens. What makes Santorini so distinctive is its geography. The island is actually the remains of an ancient volcanic caldera, and the villages of Fira and Ia sit right on that cliff edge, which is where you get those views of the caldera and the sea that Santorini is known for. Ia, on the southern tip of the island, tends to be the most popular spot for visitors. It's known for its narrow pedestrian streets, the blue dome churches that have become synonymous with Greece, and the sunsets, which draw crowds to the old castle ruins every evening. It's busy, but it's worth experiencing at least once. If you really want to avoid the hordes of people at sunset, I'd suggest going early in the morning. The island also has a handful of beaches worth visiting, including the Black Sand Beach at Parissa and Red Beach near Ekoratiri, both formed from the island's volcanic rock. Santorini is a popular island for a reason. The combination of history, scenery, and culture makes it one of the more well-rounded destinations in Greece. Next, we're going to head to Athens. Athens is the capital of Greece and one of the oldest cities in the world, with a recorded history stretching back over 3,000 years. It sits on the southern tip of mainland Greece, and for most visitors, it's the entry point to the country. The main international airport connects Athens to just about everywhere. The obvious starting point is the Acropolis. The hilltop complex sits above the city and is visible from almost everywhere in Athens. And at the top, you'll find the Parthenon, a temple built in the 5th century BC, dedicated to Athena, the goddess of wisdom, war, and crafts. The Parthenon has been through a lot over the centuries, used as a church, a mosque, and partially blown up in the 17th century. But what remains is still remarkably well preserved. And then right below the Acropolis is the ancient Agora, the marketplace and civic center of ancient Athens. One of the most well-preserved structures is the Temple of Hephaestus, the Greek god of fire, smiths, and metalworking. For a different perspective of the city, Mount Lycabettus is worth the trip up. You can hike through the pine-covered slopes or take the short funicular ride from the Kolonaki neighborhood. At the top, you'll find a 19th century chapel, an open-air theater that has hosted everyone from Ray Charles to Bob Dylan, and views that stretch across the entire city out to the sea. Athens is a city that works well as both a destination in its own right and as a base for day trips. Next on the list is Meteora. Meteora is located in central Greece, roughly 3 hours by train from Athens. The landscape consists of enormous sandstone rock pillars that rise hundreds of meters from the valley floor, and perched on top of them are 6 working monasteries that date back to the 14th century. The best way to experience Meteora is on foot. There's trails connecting the monasteries that take you through the rock formations and offer views that you won't get from a car or bus. An early morning is the best time to go to avoid the big crowds. If you have time, spending a night or two in Kalambaka is totally worth it. The town itself is quiet and affordable, but it gives you the chance to see Meteora at different times of day, which makes a real difference in how the landscape looks and feels. Meteora is one of those places in Greece that tends to surprise people, and it's absolutely stunning in person. Let's head back to the islands, to Mykonos. Mykonos is a small island in the Cyclades, about 2.5 hours by ferry from Athens, or a 45-minute flight. It's one of the most well-known Greek islands, and its reputation is built largely around its nightlife scene. Mykonos town, or Kora, is the heart of the island. It's a maze of narrow whitewashed streets that were designed to be confusing, originally to disorient pirates, and it still has that effect the first time you visit. The windmills on the hill above the town are one of the island's most iconic landmarks, dating back to the 16th century when they were used to mill wheat. Little Venice, a row of buildings built directly on the water's edge, is another well-known spot and a popular place to have a drink in the afternoon. Now to the real fun stuff. The beaches, beach clubs, and nightlife on Mykonos are some of the best in Europe. If spending the day at the beach and the night at a rave sounds like your type of vacation, this is definitely the spot to go. Just a heads up that Mykonos is considered expensive compared to most other Greek islands, and in July and August, it's super crowded. So visiting in spring or autumn will give you much of the same experience without the peak season intensity. Mykonos has an awesome blend of history, scenery, and nightlife that's perfect for the right kind of traveler. Next on the list is Crete. Crete is the largest of the Greek islands and the southernmost point in Europe. It sits about 160 miles south of Athens and has its own dialect, cuisine, and strong sense of regional identity. Hania and Rethymno are two harbor towns on the north coast that are worth building your trip around. Both have Venetian harbors with narrow waterfront streets, old stone buildings, and working lighthouses that have been there since the 16th century. Hania's harbor is arguably the more picturesque of the two, with its charming promenade, while Rethymno has a well-preserved old town with Venetian fortress sitting above it. Either one makes a good base for exploring the western half of the island. From Hania, you're not too far from two of Crete's most beautiful natural sandbars. Milos Lagoon is at the northwestern tip of the island, a shallow lagoon with pale turquoise water and a sandbar separating it from the open sea. Elefenisi is on the southwestern coast, about an hour and a half from Hania, and is known for its shallow pink sand and clear water. At low tide, you can actually walk out to the small island it's named after. Both beaches are just absolutely stunning and so worth the trip. Crete works well for a wide range of travelers. The combination of history, coastline, and Venetian architecture gives it a depth that's hard to find on smaller islands. Now we're going to head to Zakynthos, also known as Zante. Zakynthos is an island in the Ionian Sea off the western coast of Greece, about 300 kilometers west of Athens. The island is best known for Navaggio Beach, also called Shipwreck Beach. It's an enclosed cove on the northwestern coast that's only accessible by boat, surrounded by vertical white limestone cliffs and featuring the rusting hull of a freighter that ran aground there in 1980. It's one of the most photographed spots in Greece, and the reality of it lives up to the images. The incredible watercolor here is from the shallow limestone seabed and is genuinely striking in person. Beyond Navaggio, I also really love the blue caves on the northern tip of the island. These sea caves are carved into the white cliffs, and you can cruise through these caves on a boat tour. Zakynthos town is also about as picturesque as it comes, with a delightful central square and amazing nightlife. Views of the town and harbor are best from Bokali, a small village of 900 residents located on the hill behind the city. Zakynthos is a great option if you want a mix of natural scenery and a beach holiday, without the price tag of islands like Mykonos or Santorini. Next up is Rhodes. Rhodes is one of the easternmost islands in Greece, sitting right off the coast of Turkey. It's well connected by air from Athens and several European cities. The main draw in Rhodes is the Old Town, a medieval walled city that has been continuously inhabited for about 2,400 years and is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The walls were built by the Knights of St. John in the 14th century. Inside, the Street of the Knights is one of the best preserved medieval streets in Europe, and the Palace of the Grand Master, restored in the 20th century, gives you a sense of the island's complex history as it's passed between Greek, Roman, Byzantine, Crusader, Ottoman, and Italian rule over the centuries. The rest of the island has a mix of beaches and smaller villages worth exploring. Lindos, on the east coast, features a breathtaking ancient citadel on a cliff overlooking whitewashed houses and turquoise bays. And Sambika is a stunning golden sand beach located under a steep rock crowned by Sambika Monastery at the peak. It's a pretty surreal spot to spend a day lounging, staring out at the Mediterranean. With its mix of castles and coastline, Rhodes is perfect for adventure and relaxation. Now we're going to head to Milos. Milos is a small island in the western Cyclades, about 4 hours by ferry from Athens, or accessible by a short flight. The island's volcanic geology has produced a coastline that's super unusual. This is best shown on the North Island in Sarakoniko, a landscape of smooth white volcanic rock formations carved by wind and sea right at the water's edge. It looks unlike most other Greek beaches and has been compared to a lunar landscape. It's such a unique terrain, it's worth coming to Milos just for Santorini if you're short on time. But there are over 70 beaches on Milos, which is a lot for an island of this size, and many of them are accessible only by boat. Kleftiko on the southwestern coast is another series of sea caves that's a former pirate hideout, and is now a premier destination for swimming, snorkeling, and exploring tunnels. Milos is a good choice if you want the Cycladic island experience without the crowds and prices that come with the more famous islands. Next on the list is Corfu. Corfu is the northernmost of the Ionian Islands, sitting just off the coast of Albania. It's about an hour by plane from Athens, or accessible by overnight ferry, and it's also a common stop on Adriatic cruise routes. The island has a very different look and feel for most of the islands. Centuries of Venetian rule, followed by French and then British, have left a strong mark on the architecture, particularly in Corfu town. The Old Town is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, with Italian-style arcades, French-influenced buildings, a large central square called Spianata, and 2 Venetian fortresses flanking the town. It's one of the most architecturally interesting towns in Greece, and doesn't get the attention it deserves. The landscape of Corfu is also noticeably different from the other Greek islands. It's green and hilly, covered in olive trees and cypress, with a climate that gets more rainfall than the southern islands. The northern and western coasts have the more dramatic scenery, with beaches like Paleokastrica, a series of caves surrounded by green hills and clear water. Just absolutely breathtaking. Corfu is a good option for travelers who want something a bit different from the typical Greek island. The Venetian and British influences give it a character that's distinct from anywhere else in the country. Last but not least is Nafplio. Nafplio is a small port town on the northern Peloponnese, about 2 hours by road from Athens. It's not as internationally well known as the other destinations on this list, so it's not quite as crowded, but still a place worth discovering. The Old Town sits on a small peninsula with a Venetian-built harbor, neoclassical buildings, and 2 fortresses, Palamidi, which sits on a hill above the town and is connected by a staircase of 999 steps, and Bortzi, a small castle on an island in the middle of the harbor that was used at various points as a fortress and a hotel. You also have to check out the ancient theater at Epidaurus, which dates back to the 4th century BC and is amazingly still used for performances today. And it's only 30 minutes outside of town, making it the perfect day trip. If you're looking for somewhere in Greece that feels genuinely authentic, has real history, and gives you access to some of the most important ancient sites, Nafplio is one of the strongest options on this list. And those are the 10 best places to visit in Greece. Just to summarize a little, if you're planning a first trip, Athens, Santorini, and Crete are solid starting points that give you a broad introduction to what the country has to offer. If you've already done those and you're looking for something different, Milos, Nafplio, and Meteora are worth serious consideration. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe for more travel guides like this one. And if you've been to any of these places, let me know in the comments which one was your favorite. Thanks so much for watching, and safe travels.